Water. Somebody get me water.
I can actually stick my head into that fountain and drink that treated sewage water.
Need for that, guys. I'm here. By the way, where does the water come from?
That is the role of engineers.
Specifically chemical engineers.
What do they do?
Chemical engineering is the branch of engineering that applies physical sciences, applied mathematics, and economics to produce, transform, transport, and properly use chemicals, materials, and energy.
They help in manufacture food, pulp and paper and food processing, pharmaceuticals and even petrochemicals.
The cooking of noodles, the use of cosmetics, and even toothpaste.
Bingo! It's a miracle of chemical engineering. So, now coming back to your initial question about water treatment. Chemical engineers in the water sector help design complex systems to purify and disinfect water.
But where do we get the sewage water from?
Come, I'll take you to where the process takes place. Here we are.
The basic goal of the water treatment process is to reduce the level of contaminants using the three basic steps: pre-treatment, primary treatment, and post-treatment. Here we have a screen filter to remove the large debris which may interfere with the subsequent steps. So, any idea what comes next?
Now that the large components are removed, the next step is to remove the tiny particles.
Yes, those tiny particles are called suspended particles and we add chemicals to assist their removal.
These agents are called coagulating agents, and the process is called coagulation. Alum is a common agent. The positive charge of the agents neutralizes the negative charge of the dirt and other dissolved particles in the water. When this occurs, the particles bind with chemicals and form larger particles, and the flock then settles down.
Oh, I see. Now the removal of suspended particles becomes easy.
Absolutely. The next process is sedimentation. The flocculated water enters a sedimentation basin where the water flows slowly, allowing the flock to settle to the bottom due to its weight. Now the layer of the sludge formed on the floor of the tank is removed and then treated.
Interesting. Now is the water clean enough for usage?
No, not yet. The water is now filtered to remove the remaining impurities. It goes through a sand filter bed containing coarse and fine sand layers. It also has an activated carbon layer which allows cleaner water to pass through. But here we have the aeration tank.
Let's move on to the next step.
The water is still not clean enough for use due to the microorganisms present, which are removed by a process called disinfection. The water is then boiled to prevent further growth of microbes. The more effective methods used include adding chlorine and bleaching powder. We may also use methods which include the addition of ultraviolet rays, ozone, or even chloramine.
Now you might wonder if excess chlorine is harmful.
Trust me, I'm not wondering anything right now.
Anything in excess causes harm. To overcome this, we can even use breakpoint chlorination, which oxidizes the organic compounds, ammonia, etc., removes odor, taste, smell, and everything that is not required. Also, excess chlorine can be removed by passing water through a bed of carbon.
So everything is foolproof.
Indeed, it is. Now this treated wastewater is used to water the plants and trees to sustain greenery around us. So water treatment is quite an essential requirement in today's world, where water scarcity has become a common phenomena. We should not let a single drop of water go in waste.
Now we have some facts about wastewater treatment.
So, the first fact is
If all the world's water were to fit into a gallon jug, the fresh water available for us to use would equal only about 1 tablespoon.
it's very crucial to purify water. The second fact is in the United States, 48 million people receive their drinking water from private or household wells.
So it is possible to purify water in your house itself.
By 2025, 1.8 billion people will be living in countries or regions with absolute water scarcity, and two-thirds of the world's population could be living under water stress conditions.